startling factor. It's a very significant piece of information. Consistent with my I'm a relic from the aging past, when I was a kid, you got a Coca-Cola on the weekend, if you were lucky. It came in a 7-ounce bottle with a unique greenish tinge. It was small. Today, unless you got the 48-ounce super industrial mega whopper serving of some form of soft drink, you feel the problem. And so all of a sudden you see the pernicious power of marketing and merchandising and a transformation as to what is seen as the social norm in terms of patterns, in this case, of food ingestion. And that's all occurred within a 30-year period. And I see several of you nodding your heads, and I can only take consolation in the fact that maybe you're older than I am in your being able to remember those kind of things. 91% of kids in Canada have bicycles. Only 5% of them ride them to school every day. I recall with some irony, speaking in a community that can't be identified, Fredericton, New Brunswick, and on a topic not dissimilar to what we're talking about today, and somebody saying, this is what we got from our school today. The ubiquitous parental letter. Dear parents, please discourage your children from bringing bicycles to school. They're being left in areas which make it difficult for us to unload minivans. Words to that effect. Give our heads a shake, folks. I mean, just a dramatic example of how myopic we can be as we start to try to address some of these kinds of challenges. And there is one of those warehouses that we use to store children in and ferry them around, and just-in-time transportation kind of principles probably invented by the school bus industry. But we need to begin to think about alternatives to this. We need to make sure that 91% of the Canadian school population who have bicycles are encouraged to ride their bicycles to school. And that may mean facilitating storage and security of bicycles, etc., etc. It may mean rediscovering the importance of walking school buses, developing and advising and introducing in various communities approaches that look different. And I know this will be music to the ears of many of you. Described in Last Child in the Woods, nature deficit disorder, a disconnect between today's indoor children and the outdoor world. And there is a burgeoning literature, much of which, or part of which, was revealed in Canada's Journal of Applied Medical Science, the Globe and Mail, earlier this week, when it talked about the way in which we can begin to redesign, reconfigure school playgrounds so as to allow individuals to sample, experience some of the joy that can be found in a natural outdoor environment. Because we have transformed our urban communities in ways that are not conducive to physical activity. And P.S., our urban planning colleagues get this. And hats off to our urban planners. They understand you can design communities in which it is much more likely that people will be able to walk, ride a bike, go to and from a local retail area, etc., etc. And they have developed partly models for these kinds of community designs. And it's up to us to ensure that our municipal and urban leaders understand the need for us to re-engineer into the design of our communities templates that will permit us to become more active. Most newer neighborhoods have been designed for cars. You need a model assault vehicle in order to go anywhere. You can't practice what I call the popsicle test, which I think is indicative of a healthily designed community. If you're in a healthily designed, configured community, the child should be able to walk, ride a bike to a neighborhood store, buy a popsicle, and get home before it lights. And if they can't do that, then you know you're living in a neighborhood which is designed to facilitate SUVs, has no sidewalks, generally is not orthogonal in its design, is all circular kind of things which inhibit any form of physical activity, whereas older neighborhoods were designed with pedestrians in mind. And as you go to older cities and go into older neighborhoods, you discover that these neighborhoods have a much higher rate of spontaneous physical activity. And if you actually measure levels of physical activity and look at various neighborhoods, you see that if you go into older neighborhoods, the rates of obesity are much lower because people are actually walking as part and parcel of their daily lives. And here's a classic example. two very differently designed communities. And yet here, in order to get from A to B, the distance is exactly the same. Here is what you would have to do to ride your bike or to walk to get to that place. Well, you know, people are not stupid, and therefore if things are made difficult, they don't undertake the difficult task. Whereas in this community, walking or riding a bike or being physically active, personal transportation is much easier. And so healthily designed communities now look at things like population density and design to be pedestrian friendly and ensure that they are mixed use neighborhoods. That there are stores, there are residences, that people live near where there are stores and there are residences. And so we're rediscovering some of these kinds of realities. Well, Louis Pasteur, whose a name I'm sure is known to all of you, was remarkable that he said whenever he thought about disease, he never ever thought about finding cures. He always thought about preventing. And I think that's a very important maxim, not to get all academic on it here, but when we talk about preventive strategies, it's important that we begin to think very carefully about how we design and apply them. And I want to focus your attention to this area, health promotion. And health promotion is more than interactive CD-ROMs and fridge magnets. And unfortunately, the thinking of so many health professionals around health promotion is to just try to educate. Education is nowhere near sufficient. We need to permit and allow people to make the healthy choices because they are the easy choices. And so health promotion in its first instance is all about creating environments in which the healthy choices are the easy choices and in which the entire population will benefit, as opposed to these kinds of prevention which involve the identification of risk factors or their management after diseases already been established. And so in order to ensure an optimized child health, we need to optimize physical activity, we need to optimize healthy diets, and we need to ensure that, particularly in those areas and arenas where children are commonly to be found, that we begin to develop just those kinds of environments. And I know, or I would assume from the population I see sitting before me this morning, that many of you are intimately involved with these kinds of concepts, and that we need to create active schools, which does not mean that we find more money for the football team. You know, again, as a digression, I have been very involved in elite sport for all of my career and continue to be involved in elite international sport in a variety of ways. And so it's sort of heretical when I go make some of these comments in some of the sport environments that I inhabit. But I talk to parents and oh yeah, well, geez, we're really into physical activity for Johnny and so on. Yeah, we're big sport times, sport, good things, it really helps them get fit, stay in shape, yeah, ooh, really good stuff. Oh, that's great, what do you do? Well, every weekend Johnny plays hockey, eh? Oh, cool. What's that mean? Well, we're up about 6, get all the kids in the van, and we head off, we go through Timmy's, we pick up a box out of whatever they are, and you know, kids are back in the van, and then we drive to the rink, eh, we get there, and help young lad get his stuff on. Oh, that's great. And then we watch the game, have a few more Timmy's, a couple of coffees, and so on. I said, good, that Jimmy's playing. Oh yeah, they play every Saturday or Sunday, sometimes nighttime during the week, but they're playing. Great, how long are their games? Oh, geez, they only get 50 minutes before the Zamboni comes on and clean the ice. Great, and how long is Jimmy active for that 50-minute period? Geez, I never thought about that. Well, let me tell you, he's probably on the ice for about 6 or 7 minutes. What happens after the game? Oh, well, we get in the van, we go back through 10 minutes, about 45 miles to drive home. But we're really involved in sport. It does good things for the health of our community and our kids. This is heresy in Canada. And yet, if you look at most municipal recreation policies and programs, they're all designed, for the most part, to optimize ice time for 8 to 12-year-olds. And that ice time is generally used by individuals who are active for 6 or 7 or 8 minutes, maybe once or twice. That's not